It started on a gray morning in northern Arizona when a nurse named Emily Carter clocked in for her shift at St. James Hospital. She had worked there for 7 years, seen everything from drunk driving crashes to gunshot victims, but nothing had shaken her like the girl in room 214. Her name was Lily Evans, 17 years old, admitted overnight with multiple fractures, bruises, and a broken spirit. The police report said she fell down the stairs, but Emily had seen too many stories like that. Those weren't full bruises. They were the kind of marks that come from years of someone's fists. Lily's stepfather, Mark Reynolds, had brought her in. He stood tall in the waiting area, hands in his jacket pockets, talking to the officers like he owned the world. He had that look, charming, polite, and dangerous underneath. The kind of man who knew how to hide the monster behind a smile. Emily heard him arguing later, saying Lily was clumsy and needed to learn her lesson. It made her skin crawl. By noon, the hospital social worker was trying to reach Child Protective Services, but it was a weekend and nothing moved fast. Emily stayed close to Lily, who barely spoke, her voice soft and scared. The girl whispered once, "Please don't let him take me home." That was enough to break Emily's heart and make her do something she'd never done before. She made a phone call during her lunch break, not to the police, not to child services, but to a man named Cole Walker. Cole was the president of the Road Reapers Motorcycle Club. The kind of man who didn't wait for justice. He made it. Emily had known him years ago when he brought his dying mother to the hospital. She remembered his quiet eyes and the way he said thank you after she stayed late past her shift. Since then, their paths never crossed, but she knew what kind of men the Road Reapers were. Rough? Maybe, but never cruel. And when it came to protecting the innocent, their code was iron. When Cole answered, Emily didn't waste time. She told him everything. The bruises, the fear, the stepfather's threats, and how the police were doing nothing. There was a long silence on the other end. Then Cole's voice came, calm and heavy. "Where is she?" "St. James Hospital, room 214. Don't let him take her. We're coming." By the time the sun dipped below the desert horizon, the hospital parking lot began to fill with a rumble of engines. One by one, bikes rolled in, black, chrome, and roaring like thunder. 9 to 9 men in leather vests bearing the skull and side of the Road Reapers MC. To outsiders, it looked like an invasion. But to those who knew their code, it was something else entirely. Family answering a call for help. The hospital security guard panicked at first. "You can't be here," he said. But when Cole stepped forward, broad-shouldered and calm, he just replied, "We're not here to cause trouble. We're here to keep a little girl safe." Inside, Emily tried to stay calm as the situation escalated. Mark Reynolds had come back, furious that CPS hadn't responded. He was yelling at a doctor, demanding to take his stepdaughter home. Lily lay trembling in her bed, clutching the blanket. The staff didn't know what to do. Then the automatic door slid open, and Cole Walker walked in. Behind him, a dozen bikers followed, silent, disciplined, their boots echoing down the sterile hallway. The nurses froze. The doctor stepped back. Mark spun around, his face red with confusion and fear. "Who the hell are you?" he barked. Cole didn't answer right away. He stopped at the door to Lily's room, eyes locking on the bruised girl. His voice softened when he spoke. "You Lily?" She nodded, tears slipping down her cheek. "You're safe now," he said. Mark laughed. You think I'm scared of some biker gang? You've got no right to be here. Cole turned to face him, slow and deliberate. You're right. I've got no badge, no title. But I've got one thing you don't, a conscience. And I ain't leaving until she's safe. The nurses and patients peered out from doorways as the hallway filled with the sound of more boots. The entire first floor was surrounded by bikers, standing like sentinels. Outside, dozens more waited by their bikes, forming a wall of leather and chrome around the hospital. It wasn't chaos. It was protection, silent and absolute. Mark tried to push past Cole, but one of the bikers, a tall, scarred man named Razor, stepped between them. You touch that door, he warned quietly, and you'll lose more than your temper. The police were called, of course. Sirens approached in the distance. But before they could storm the place, Cole made a call to a local sheriff he knew, a man who'd served in the Marines with him years ago. Sheriff Daniels trusted Cole more than most people in his own department. When the deputies arrived, they didn't come in guns blazing. They came in cautious, listening before acting. Sheriff Daniels walked up to Cole, arms crossed. You're making my job hard, brother. Cole nodded. I ain't asking for trouble, Dan. I'm asking for protection. For her, you know what happens if she goes back with him. Dan sighed, glancing at Lily, who was staring at the floor, terrified to even breathe. Then he looked at Mark, who was already shouting about biker thugs and kidnapping. It didn't take long for him to see who the real threat was. All right, the sheriff said finally. No one's taking her anywhere tonight. She stays here until CPS arrives. That's an order. Mark exploded. You can't do that. She's my... Then cut him off. She's not your anything until a judge says so. The hospital fell into a tense quiet. The bikers didn't cheer or gloat. They just stood their ground. When Mark tried to shout again, Razor stepped closer, his voice low. You're done hurting her. Understand? Mark's eyes darted around, realizing he was outnumbered 9 to 1. He spat on the floor and stormed out, cursing under his breath. For the rest of the night, the road reapers stayed. Some sat outside Lily's door, others in the parking lot, engines off but present strong. They brought her food, a teddy bear one of their wives dropped off, even a small bracelet made from a leather strap. Cole said it was a protection band. Lily slept peacefully for the first time in months. When CPS finally came the next morning, they took her to a safe house under protective custody. Emily hugged her goodbye. The girl whispered, "Tell them thank you." By the time the sun rose, the hospital parking lot was empty again. No bikes, no thunder, just silence. But the story had already spread. Nurses whispered it in break rooms, truckers told it at diners, and by evening, the news stations were running headlines. 99 bikers storm hospital to protect teen girl from abusive stepfather. The world called it shocking, but to the road reapers, it wasn't about shock. It was about doing what was right when no one else would. A few weeks later, Cole got a letter at the club's headquarters. It was from Lily. She said she was safe, starting school again, and wanted to become a nurse like Emily one day. At the bottom, she'd drawn a small skull with angel wings and wrote, "For the angels in leather who saved me." Cole kept that letter framed in the clubhouse. Whenever anyone new joined the club, he pointed to it and said, "This is what we ride for. Not the road, not the reputation, just this." Because for men like him, justice wasn't about violence. It was about honor. It was about standing between evil and the innocent, even if it meant facing the world alone. And that night at St. James Hospital, 9 to 9 bikers did what the law couldn't. They gave a girl her life back. If you believe bikers can be heroes too, share this story.